Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Jason.
I'm Joshua.
Never mind. Hang on. I'm supposed to say my full name.
I didn't want to stop.
It's going great already.
Yeah, that's why I'm behind the camera.
This is why you don't
All right.
do live shows.
All right, here we go. Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Jason Sheedy.
I'm Joshua Matthews.
And I'm Kyle Steinike.
And we make up Heebie-Jeebies Pictures. This is our podcast, Deep Dark Well, where we are going to chit-chat about some of our current film projects, some of our past film projects, kind of pull back the curtain on how we've made some stuff in the hopes that, maybe there's some kernels of wisdom in there. If nothing else, we can tell you all the things we've messed up.
Honestly, unsure what to say. I don't think
right out of the gate, you throw in a shameless plug for the website, so people are like, "Who are these three dudes?"
Heebie-Jeebies
Yeah, so you can go there first, and then if you're still intrigued after that, you can come back and listen to us yap for an undisclosed amount of time.
Well, I think first things first, for those that are listening and may not know any of us, who are y'all?
It's very likely that
It's very likely. Well, I think maybe my mom will give this 5 minutes.
Yeah, Mary Sheedy is definitely watching this in about
your mom's going to be there.
This
She's
is
going to
not a
screenshot
murder,
this and share it.
not a murder podcast, so my mom will not be watching.
Well, it's not a murder podcast yet, Kyle.
I was wondering where that was going. I was like, wait, what?
No, she only listens to true crime.
Yes, we will follow the money. So if y'all want to hear murder crime and throw some dollars our way, then yeah, let's do it.
You guys can have fun with that.
Introduce yourselves a little bit deeper. Who are you?
I will start us. As I said, I'm Jason Sheedy. So I am primarily a writer-director as far as this company is concerned. I do also edit. I guess I'm the resident editor. I edit as like a day job, so I think that's kind of where I lend the most. But at the same time, I do love writing. Josh and I have co-written some stuff. So, sort of jumping around, but I think one thing that's kind of cool is that we all met at the Savannah College of Art and Design, where we all went to school, and most of the people we work with today, we also met in some way, shape, or form, or have branched off from there. So that'll probably get brought up a lot as far as we have colleagues and things on the show.
We're going to call it SCAD, so we don't have to say Savannah College of Art and Design each time.
Good call. Yeah, so anytime you hear that, that's what we're talking about. But no, I think, we've had the opportunity to sort of make films, grow as filmmakers, I think, starting in college up until now, where we've hopefully improved. But a lot of sort of what this podcast I think is going to be about, and what we're sort of trying to do with our company, is just keep building, keep expanding, and eventually get back into making some feature films. We've got a bunch of shorts that you can watch online. Again, beautiful, beautiful shameless plug for the website, which is
Heebie-Jeebies You can also follow, like, and subscribe at our YouTube channel, which is also Heebie-Jeebies Pictures.
We got it. We nailed it, even though everyone just signed off. They're like, nah, not these guys.
We'll only do that 5 more times.
We kind of mix and match how we do our films. I've done some that I've written and directed myself. Josh has written and directed some. Kyle's produced pretty much everything that I've done since school, including films in school. But yeah, it was a lighting and field class, I think, at SCAD, right, Kyle, that we had met at?
Yes, lighting and field. And Jason was the only one who, in the group, who did what he said he was going to, and go out and scout a location and ask them if we could film there. And I called all the other group members, and they were all like, oh, yeah, we'll get to it. And I called Jason. He's like, oh, yeah, I talked to them. We're good. So from that point forward, I was like, I'm going to work with this guy. But in our little group, I usually serve as the producer. I have not written or directed anything. I guess I did write some of the corporate stuff that we've done, but none of the actual filmmaking. But yeah, I handle the producing side and the business side, always making sure that we remember this is a film business. And I think what I most want people to get out of this podcast and all of our ramblings is that there is no one right way to do this. There's a million different ways to make content and make films.
Only two.
Only two. No, there's countless ways to do this, and I like to say whatever way works for you is the right way to make a film. So that's what I hope to talk about. And now I'll pass it over to Josh, who I also think went to the school.
I did. I also went to the school who we were for now and always just call SCAD. But Kyle, did we meet at SCAD? we had to have cross paths at some point.
I believe we did. I don't remember
Yeah.
seeing you at SCAD at all, but I remember your name because I think Jason was hanging out with you or doing stuff with you.
I know
There were
that,
rumors, yes.
I know that.
I definitely remember Dawn. Wasn't that your film?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
my thesis. Me and Jason worked on Come Home Calvin, which was a project I did that Brett Brooks and me wrote. And for y'all who don't know Brett Brooks, you will. He acts in a lot of our films. He writes and co-writes.
Brett Brooks,
with
the
both me
actor.
and- he's an actor. He's a writer. He's an illustrator. He's a man of many gifts. He'll be on this podcast if we make it past episode 1. But we had made a film called Come Home Calvin, and he brought Jason on board. And that's the first time we met. I think that we both wanted to work on each other's thesis project, but we were filming at the same time, Inkblots and Dawn. So that's probably why me and you never worked together, Kyle, because me and Jason were just working on our own stuff individually.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What did I do on Come Home Calvin?
You know, I had to look it up because
You
I
were
saw
the
a
caterer.
picture. You were the
That
caterer.
makes
No,
sense.
you were the first.
Oh,
AD.
for a second I was like, really? Did I bring Taco Bell?
No, you were first AD.
I was a first AD?
Yeah, I had to look it back up because I saw a picture of you and some of the behind the scenes stills. I'm like, that has to be the first time we ever worked together. And I looked at the film, and they were first AD. Which now I AD your films. And you
I was going to say, it's
do
it's
not
just
AD
that
my
funny.
films.
Yeah. I keep Brett in a makeup chair for 7 hours because
Yes.
I don't know what I'm doing. It'll take 2 hours.
And if you're the AD, then you can authorize that. It's fine.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah, I can
that's
just
fine.
yell at myself.
Go faster. Go faster.
Well, that was sorry to interject really quick, but that's just like a funny point to bring up. How many everyone's in. I think indie filmmaking is used to wearing a lot of hats and
Yeah.
doing what you need to do to accomplish the film under budget restraints, blah blah blah. But especially at school, you were sort of encouraged to kind of bounce around and figure out what you really enjoyed doing. Because Kyle, you took like a
you had to do it.
you had to,
You
yeah.
had to.
We
I mean, it
encouraged
was
you
good.
to pass.
Yeah. Yeah, Kyle, what did you do at SCAD that was different than producing?
Different than producing. I did mainly producing. I think my senior I started out as a cinematographer. That's what I was going to be. Yeah. And then too many projects that I was working on were falling apart before they could get done, and I ended up fixing them and organizing them, and while trying to also shoot them. And then I was like, you know what, I should stop shooting things and just go and produce them. So that's really how I landed in that. I was sad to not be behind the camera anymore. I did enjoy that, but yeah, I remember my one class. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I spent more time producing, and I was supposed to be the DP, and was like, yeah, I'm gonna produce now. And then there wasn't many producers, and so we all had 3 or 4 projects to do. I feel like each quarter, along with our primary project, just to help out because there wasn't many of us. I'm gonna take a drink.
Please, before you take a drink, please announce it every time. I'm also about to take a drink.
So yeah, I did a lot of producing at SCAD, but I didn't do much else. I'm not a very good DP. It's something I would love to have gotten into a little bit more, because it would be so much easier just to shoot your own film right now.
We will have to bring Clay on at some point. He can tell you the story of when I discovered that I knew how to be a DP after taking some classes, and I came into the room and declared it. So we can tell that story sometime.
I am a DP. Jason, what did you do besides
You're
direct?
a declare type of person, Kyle. Most things you say are declarations.
Yes.
I love it. It's part of your character. What were you saying, Josh?
What did you do besides direct with SCAD?
I mean, like I said, I did a lot of editing. I dabble in a lot of the makeup stuff for our films because it's something I wanted to do initially before I got into, I guess, well, just when I was a kid. This is the perfect segue into the next bullet listed item on my Google Doc here.
The road to where we are now.
Well, I thought so because we talked a little bit about obviously how we're connected, how we met, and kind of like what we sort of do within this company. But as far as like where we've come from and kind of how we got to that point, I thought it'd be interesting just to take a quick, because everybody has a path, like you said, Kyle. There's a million ways that people get into filmmaking. On top of that, like I've talked to people. Like I met a guy in an indie film a long, long time ago that was like a funeral caretaker that somehow like got into movies. Like there's just it, and then there's people like, I mean, I have like I feel like almost like a, not a cliche because that's not the right word, but I grew up wanting to make movies and or being a part of it in some way, and had my parents' high-8 camera and was running around the neighborhood covering my friends in fake blood and scaring the mailman and that kind of thing. I had a movie it was called Dead Winter. It's a very ominous title. Ooh. But it had like 20 zombie extras in my front yard, and the mailman just he like gave us a look, and then he just kind of smiled, like it was just this very like earnest or like just sweet moment. And then my dad came home and saw the blood on his tools and was kind of like rightfully angry because that was a crappy thing for me to do, but I thought I could get away with it and clean it up before he got home. So I had like I said, grew up wanting to make films. Discovery Channel had this show called Movie Magic or Mega Movie Magic. I think it maybe changed titles. That kind of got me interested. Raiders of the Lost Ark was like the first film I remember like laying on my belly on my living room floor and in the dark, with a big thing of popcorn and watching this guy's face melt and being like, wow. And I think it was the first time that was where I was like, oh, I want to figure out how to do this. And that kind of got me more interested in special effects at first. And then that translated just into wanting to like, do storytelling, but then also incorporate some of those bloody and gory effects. And, there's also the link with, horror movies and loving those growing up. So after high school, I basically decided I wanted to go to film school, and that's where I met these guys. And yeah, so it's just been kind of a journey like that ever since, and then kind of bouncing all over America in some way, shape, or form to find the right place. My wife, well, she was my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, Megan, who also works in the film business. We had moved out to LA for a while and got like the very, I would call it like the really like the artist experience where, we were, and I've told you guys the story a million times, so it feels weird to like be regurgitating some of these things we've, heard over and over again in our own circles, but we had like no money. I sold all of my vintage Nintendo stuff. Well, vintage. It was, now it's considered vintage. At the time, it was just, a Link to the Past on Super NES that some guy on eBay wanted to pay $100 for.
Right now, they'd pay $300 for that.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. The one game I couldn't part with, though, my buddy Frank was just here visiting. It was GoldenEye, because that was such a special game when we were. I mean, I grew up in the winter, or in Illinois, so
only in the
winter. Oh, I grew up strictly in the winter. Once spring and summer come, I just sort of dissolve into a gaseous form, and then. But we would play these games during the winter because that's all we could do. It was so cold. So that was like, this is the one thing I can't sell. Anyway, flash forward to us, doing that, thinking we'd make enough to have a good run in LA for a while. It lasted like a week. The funds that we thought were gonna, and then we were literally like pulling things out of like we had a futon we like pulled out of a dumpster to use as our bed, like. It was that kind of story, but it was also like a very humbling experience because it taught us like, I don't know, just like how to value things and sort of like, what we were working for out there. And then Atlanta had sort of become this film hub again. So that was sort of all right, well, let's get ourselves back there. We've got a family, family friends. The rent's a lot cheaper and now here we are. So yeah, so I'm in Atlanta still. Josh, you've been all over the place too. Like, tell me about, some of the places you went after school, especially, or I guess before that.
Oh man. Well, right after graduation, I missed my graduation at SCAD because I was in Chicago and Austin, Texas, trying to decide where to move to because another buddy of mine.
In both places at once?
At once. Mm-hmm. The winter and the summer.
He also dissolves into a gaseous form.
You have that ability. I forgot about that.
Yes. No, a buddy of mine that also went to SCAD called me one day. He had a very similar story to Jason. He went to LA, just wasn't his thing, wasn't working out. So he wanted to leave, and he knew I was interested in documentary films. My past growing up, I didn't make a lot of short films growing up, but I carried a camera with me everywhere. Made me realize I always had this documentary bug in me. So at SCAD, I only did one doc at SCAD. Because I was going to do a documentary for my thesis film instead of Don. And my DP looked at me and said, I am not shooting your damn documentary. Like, do the Western. I was like, all right, I'll do the Western.
Put that on a t-shirt,
But Kevin knew I was into documentary films, and he was too. So he called me up and said, hey, I want to do this thing. Do you want to do this thing? And I was like, yeah. But we couldn't decide where to move to. So we just made a whole list and decided if cities intersected on both our lists, then we would go visit them. And only two did, Chicago and Austin. So we made a trip to both. Love Chicago, but it is cold as shit. So we went to Austin, moved to Austin, did a documentary film there. It did not do well. It was my first feature. It got into exactly 0 film festivals. There was another documentary that came out with a very similar theme. That was really good. So I'm blaming that and not on the film, because the film's actually pretty nice. It's definitely, indie documentary filmmaking. But it didn't do well, and that was kind of a shot to the gut. So I got a day job. And then after a while, met my wife, Caitlin. We got tired of Texas because it was hot. So we got the bright idea to move to New Orleans, which is huge.
Weather seems to be a very contributing factor for where you don't. And,
it really is. I mean, do you want to live in some place you hate stepping outside every day?
Fair. Hey, about to take a drink.
Yeah, take a drink. Went to New Orleans, started missing film a lot. And I remember talking to you and Brett saying, hey, let's write something. Let's just write something and try to get it made. And it was an anthology film. And that anthology film was titled Heebie-Jeebies
Pictures.com.
Wrote a film, really enjoyed this film. I think the script is really, really good. We were really excited about making it. We called in Kyle. We called in some other friends of ours to possibly shoot it. Had some meetings, and then COVID hit, and everything shut down.
I say we've reached the part of the podcast where COVID becomes a story beat.
Yeah, we've missed. Yeah, but we know about COVID. But we took that time, me, Jason, and Brett, to meet weekly and write. And we just kind of kept each other accountable. I couldn't do anything else creative. I still had this bug. I wanted to get back into filmmaking. Like, I think during that time that we were talking, we each wrote 2 features and multiple shorts. Like, it was a very productive time. And then
we had nothing else to do.
Because we had nothing else to do. And it was so COVID sucked ass, and we all know that. But creatively, like, I got a lot of output on that at that time. And
I just drank Mai Tais and wrote horror movies. Yeah, it was a weird time.
It was a weird time. Anyways, you went off and started making short films. I was in New Orleans. I didn't know anybody. We'd been there for a year. Nothing was really clicking there. My wife got a job in Austin, so we moved back to Texas. The idea was maybe make something in Austin or make something in Atlanta. And it took about a year or so, but we finally got together and we made It Draws Closer and To Hell With You. Yeah, that's my long-winded journey of moving back and forth. Oh, and now I'm back in Savannah because, again, Texas got too hot. So I came full circle.
I hate to break it to you that
I say summer's coming in
Savannah
Savannah
hot as well.
Look, Savannah is my kind of hot. Like, I'm from Alabama. I'm used to like southern heat, and I prefer the humidity over Texas. I mean, if y'all have been in Texas for more than, I don't know, a day in the summer, like, you understand, like, it is a different heat. Breakfast tacos are amazing. Hi, Cal. I don't know your story as well.
So yeah, my story is, sort of all over the place, like most. I think that, and I was actually just telling someone this story recently, but it turns out it was days after graduation from SCAD. I think 2 days after I graduated, I went out to LA. Sounds familiar, like every other wannabe filmmaker. And I was there and did a bunch of production assistant gigs. And it was LA. It was, all the good and bad that LA is. And so I did a whole stint of production assistant work. I came back to Atlanta actually, and had a job lined up to be a broadcast engineer on a cruise ship.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, that was going to do that. And someone I knew told me it was like 2 hours of shooting and like the rest of the day drinking. And I was young, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like fun. So
a very, very healthy lifestyle.
Sounds like
very,
fun right
very
now.
healthy lifestyle. And that never happened, though. They never assigned me a ship. And I ended up getting a day job doing technology consulting, which paid more than the ship was going to pay. So never did the cruise ship. Still wonder what that would have been like. I do think about going to do that again. I don't think my wife would let me, though, go away for 6 months to go do broadcast on a cruise ship. I guess maybe if she came with.
I was going to say, I feel like there's an easy solution to that problem.
Let's have her come with.
I love cruises, though, but like I've never been on a cruise for more than a few days, and I feel like that was plenty.
Yes.
I mean, I was a little kid when it happened, so I don't know. But
living on a ship, I mean, I don't know. At that age, it was probably fine. I'd probably not like it or tolerate it very much now.
Right.
But yeah, so back in Atlanta, I ended up starting a production company, really doing commercial productions with Jason. And we used the funding from the commercial clients that we had to make Patient, which was our first feature. And, you know, we'll get into the details of Patient and really the lessons of Patient in a different episode. But after that, I, staying with the tech side, went over to MailChimp, which is based in Atlanta. And then as Josh and Jason mentioned, you know, COVID hit and everything slowed down and shut down. But it was during that time that we started what I would call our modern era of the short films that we've been doing. It started in 2020 with Fenestra, sort of as like a experimental project or a test project or just something to shoot during COVID. And that started our sort of run of short films that we've been making, you know, 1 or 2 a year ever since.
A renaissance.
Yes. So it's a fun time. But I'm actually now living in Boston. My wife and I, we got married in October and moved out to Boston in October. So up here on the water on the East Coast now.
I just want to piggyback really quick because I completely left out Patient, which is a huge part of my life.
Yes, Jason was there for Patient as well.
I'm looking over like our little like bullet list, and like you guys did a good job of detailing stuff, and I was like, moved here, did the thing.
You have it here. It says first feature.
Yeah. I just didn't look at it right. No, but just to Patient. Yeah, I think that's definitely something we can certainly chat about on a episode and talk about it in more detail. I guess I just want to say part of what kind of got me back into where I was, and I feel like I've talked about this with different people, and of course you guys, and I'm going to tell this story as my dog makes love to this pillow in the background. But so after we went out to LA and did our thing, right, and I loved LA. Like I had a really good time out there. It made more sense for us. We were trying to get back into making features. So Brett Brooks, who again we'll talk about a lot, a colleague of ours, but we had co-written a feature that we were hoping to make, which was just this like sort of like indie comedy.
I'm going to take a drink.
Get a drink, Kyle. We had done this indie comedy feature script, and then I had come back basically to Atlanta as a way of, okay, like I can sort of float with some money I've made. We can polish up the script, get Kyle involved. We talked about it, and it just wasn't something that was going to happen. Like it was one of those like we can make this happen for, you know, X amount of dollars, and there was this realization of like, oh, this is a bit too lofty for where we are right now.
Didn't I catch you guys shooting something else while you were supposed to be writing that script? I came down to Savannah and visit, and you were shooting some action thing, and I'm like, you said you were writing. What the hell is happening?
Do you remember the image you walked in on?
I did. I walked in on in the kitchen. I believe there was peanut butter and Brett on the floor, and something. I don't recall exactly what was happening.
That made it sound weirdly sexual.
It was.
I mean, the video also seemed
Brett
really sexual.
Was fully clothed, still very sexual. No, we were shooting a short called Action Faction was the name of it was this really silly short film. But yeah, that was our break from writing a feature, was making a silly short film. Anyway, after this indie comedy we wrote, though, kind of was like not having, we realized we had to pivot. And I've always grown up with horror movies. I love making horror movies. And we'd started doing more research and realized just how horror movies were something that you could, not necessarily get A-list talent for, that you could, produce for a low budget. There was a lot of creativity. We opted to do this film that's all set in one room, and that's the story of our first feature, Patient, which again we'll unpack a bit more. But after I finished Patient, I think I was in that period of like, oh, we did the thing like that you're supposed to do. Like after film school, we made the feature. Like now we can just kind of like kick back and like let the deals roll in. And, very naive, like very misguided, like understanding of what actually was going to happen. And to be fair, long story short / spoiler alert, like we accomplished what we set out with for Patient. Like we got distribution. It was acquired by a company called Shoreline, and then it went on to play on Showtime Network. And it was really cool because we had done everything and then some that we had hoped to do with that film, but there was still this sort of like emptiness afterwards because nothing had really like taken off from there. It was sort of like, again, I had this naive expectation that I was just going to get a phone call or an email and be like, I loved your movie. Here's some money to make another, and that just doesn't happen for most people. After that happened, I went to writing for a while, and because I was just sort of wanting to get back into doing something creative where I knew I could, handle it as far as like a budget concern is. Like, I was writing features still, but they were big budget things that I was like, I'll never shoot these, but they just are going to be liberating creatively and sort of get me back into this mindset of making things. Because admittedly, I was a little bummed after, and again, I don't want to like take that for granted. Like we did what we needed to do. We succeeded in every sense of the word for what we were aiming for. It just didn't necessarily push us onto the next path. So it became sort of this like waiting game for a while that then turned into, okay, I need to stop waiting. What can I do in the meantime? That's kind of leading in what Kyle was saying with Finestra. There was a short before that too called Little Dreamer that we did, but it was basically like, okay, we're going to sort of start from scratch again. Let's focus on just making some short, like bite-sized horror movies that we can take to festivals and kind of start building out a network that, very, very low stakes as far as, spending money on them and not taking years, kind of thing. Stuff that we could basically, like what Kyle said, like try to do 1 or 2 a year so that we can at least be constantly like, and most importantly, I think for me too, like I wanted to get back into making film. So that was just something like, oh, I enjoy doing this. I want to keep doing this. Let's make some stuff. Like I'm tired of waiting for like the perfect moment, the perfect budget, the perfect set, story, all that. So I did have to sort of like learn to let go of that mindset. And I'm not saying that's right for everybody, because I'm certainly a perfectionist, and I think all of you guys would agree. Like there's an element of wanting to make something the best it can be, but there's also like a hindrance that can come from, like
waiting for perfect. Yeah,
exactly. You get in your own way kind of thing. And I was definitely doing that post feature. So that the shorts became a nice liberating, like, this is like Finestra, I wrote in a night. We shot it in like 7 hours on a Saturday afternoon, and it was edited 3 weeks later. It was a very just like, let's just, do a thing. And it went on to get in a bunch of fests, which is always like hilarious to me that sometimes those things that you put a little bit less effort in.
What's the biggest festival that one got into?
Finestra?
Yeah.
That
you just
it's
felt
been
like...
a while. Holly Shorts was a big one. Film Quest represent.
Yeah, I mean, like
Film Quest we got to go to for the first time with that film. So
see, but that says something, like doing that film, just letting go, right? Wrote it in a day, shot it in a day, edited in a couple weeks, and then Holly Shorts. That's pretty damn good. Right.
It's just we hear it so often too, and this certainly isn't my own advice, but like some of the best advice I ever got. I don't even remember who told it to me, or if it's just something I read online or whatever, but like, if you want to be a filmmaker, like the easiest thing you can do is make films, and easiest. So I did take that to heart. It was just like, okay, it doesn't have to be a feature. It can be something short and just, whatever, just something to start building up, like sort of a catalog of like, films that represent me as a filmmaker. So it's like, oh, not only am I like building out, what style I'm enjoying doing, but it's also helped me hone the craft, and not be terrible. Hopefully.
I mean, I think that point, that's an especially good piece of advice. I remember a story, I think, again, it came from Clay, where he was working as a production assistant, and I think the director or producer or somebody asked him what he wanted to do, like in film as a career, what were his goals? And he's like, well, I want to direct. And the guy was like, go do that then. Like, don't stay here being a production assistant. Like, go direct. Go. Doesn't have to be big. Doesn't have to be complex. But go direct. Go do that thing.
It's the simplest advice, but it's the best advice. Like, just go do it. You can just go make something, and you might make something great. You might make some shit, which we all have.
And I think for me, it's the starting with Finestra. Not that all of the films that I've been a part of and that I've worked on, they've all been great, but starting with Finestra, it was a lot of fun again. It was a lot less, and I think it probably due to the nature of that project, where it was so short and the stakes were so low. But it just was fun. It reminded me of what I enjoyed about filmmaking in film school, and
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like, I think that's the feeling that we all try to chase. Like, obviously, like, it'd be wonderful if somebody, if we could make a living, doing this kind of thing. But at the same time, like, the most important, I think, aspect for all of us was like, it takes you back to like the joy of being a young kid with a camera attached to your hand. You're just running around with your friends, like trying to come up with some kind of story. So I think that's definitely something I know I personally, and I feel like you guys have too, have been chasing, is just that idea of trying to recapture that. And it's not nostalgia. I wouldn't call it that. It's less that and more just like, there was a point in your life where you fell in love with this thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like trying to like, I stay in love with it, I guess, in a weird way.
No, that's what it was for me. It's like it's the one thing I truly love doing, and I just hadn't been doing it for so long. And I'm like, what was the point of going to film school and meeting these people and spending all that damn money if I'm not going to keep doing this? Getting into it again and doing it now, it's been a blast. Like, it's been real fun. It's been, hard and challenging and long nights, but it's been worth it. It's been real fun. And I think me and you have said this multiple times, Jason. It's like, we don't want to keep doing this if it's not going to be fun.
Yeah. The day that I wake up and it's just pure stress. It's kind of like, so
what's the point?
It hasn't happened yet, thankfully. Well, I wanted to bring up an interesting point, Josh. I think you are one of the biggest like horror fanatics I know. Like, of my friend group, you're probably one of the,
because I certainly am not.
Kyle, that's why I think you like Finestra too, is it leans more into the sci-fi thriller
100%.
You're the sci-fi guy.
I'm taking it.
But sip while I ask you this question. It'll be the perfect rhythm of question and response. Oh, I've already screwed it up. Never mind.
Okay.
So
say it again.
The perfect rhythm.
The perfect rhythm is gone. But It Draws Closer, the film that has been going on the festival circuit this last year, depending on when this episode announces, I don't know. But that was your first horror film. I mean, at least in the sense of like post-school.
Yes.
Like,
even
and I always
during
found that
SCAD,
interesting.
I did a slew of shorts to get into SCAD, to build a portfolio. And in that batch of shorts I made for SCAD, there was one zombie film. Where I did like the makeup and the music, and like I Jason Sheedy it. Like, I did everything.
Did you have a parent to yell at you?
No, I did have the cops called on me though. But then they saw that I brought all my friends, dressed them up as zombies, and I'm walking through downtown by the courthouse, and the cops came by and was like, "What are y'all doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm making a zombie movie." They're like, "Cool," and he just kept going.
I just wanted to insert really quick. I loved filming, and like, because I grew up in a small town too, and everyone was very much like, "What are you doing?" "Oh yeah, we'll close the store for you." Like, I'd gone on a police station, like, "Yeah, we'll drive the car around for you." And now it's just like, "Do you have a permit?" And it's $8,000 a day.
You all lived in some good towns. We never got that. We got the police called on us for being in our yards filming things.
No, not that bad. I mean, we got the cops called on us, but as soon as they saw what we were doing, like, okay, have fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, once they arrived, they're like, "Oh, you're just a bunch of kids
Yep.
like running around with a camcorder." Like,
but yes, during SCAD, I made film school films. I made a Western. Like, who does that?
Joshua
Who goes and makes
Matthews
a
does that.
Western?
Joshua David Matthews.
When I could have just filmed, and all the professors like, "Why are you doing this, man? Just go film something else. Like, save your money." And I did it. It's a beautiful film, and I love it. And I'm very proud of it. But I wish I would have just done like a horror film.
What's the saying? Make the films that you want to see.
Yeah.
Which I still think is also great advice. Like,
I did make the films I wanted to see there, but it was
Sure.
just a different, because I love horror, but I like all films. I love Terrence Malick, and I was in a big Terrence Malick phase when Dawn was being produced. So I'm like, I want to make a Terrence Malick Western, and that's what I did. I just wish I would have been like, I want to make a Monster Under the Bed movie.
Well, I'm glad you waited.
And me too, because it's better than what I would have done. And weirdly enough, like, we spent one day on that film, and you edited in probably a week or two, like, roughly. And it's arguably gotten better festivals and more attention than the Western did.
and then you got into Fright Fest,
tons
one
of
of the
money.
biggest horror film festivals ever, and I was just like, you're just coming right in and just going.
Let me show these guys how it's done. I did not know what Fright Fest was when I submitted to it because you told me to, but I didn't realize how big it was because I've just not been in the genre festival realm for so long. I've been in a documentary festival realm.
And all I want is to go to a festival that has some happy films.
Or it could be happy.
Or it can be happy. Did you
Well,
watch
it's
Shaun of the
interesting
Dead?
too because, yeah, props to Shaun of the Dead for perfectly balancing horror and comedy.
Right.
As far as like what you were saying though, I do find that interesting because I think nowadays in film school, because I definitely suffer from this. Like there were certain times I would write a certain way or I would think of things, but I wasn't necessarily thinking of something that I felt like I had to make for me personally. It was more about like, oh, I think this could be like a festival thing or that, having that mentality, which, in hindsight was the complete wrong direction. And I'm like you, like there were certain things I liked about them per se, but I was definitely leaning more in the trying to make stuff to sort of fit into some kind of box, to benefit me somehow, as opposed to just making stuff I wanted to make and then just, letting it find success on its own. If it could, and if it didn't, oh well, it still was very creatively satisfying. And that was enough. Nowadays too, like if I ever talk to people about like, oh, I don't know, not that I'm giving advice very often. This is setting me up like I'm speaking at like when I'm talking to the guy down the street while I'm eating my popsicle outside the convenience store, and he's like, "What should I do?" But no, I think it's finding those stories that you want to see, and that's not just film. Obviously, it could be anything with art, like music and everything. So I don't know, because I do feel like as a filmmaker, I want an audience. So like my films, obviously, like to me, that's one of the joys of making these is going to a festival and being a fly in the wall where like nobody, knows you're in the room or whatever, and getting to watch these films and like, oh, cool. They laughed at the right part. Oh, they laughed at the wrong part. That wasn't supposed to be funny. But it's just getting that chance to experience that with the crowd. But I think that, if you're doing something for yourself that you are really enjoying, a lot of times you end up making something that's universally relatable in some way without, attempting to try too hard to do it. I don't know. So anyway, that's just my TED talk about making things you want to make.
For those of you who made it to the end with us, we've talked about what you can expect on a few other shows. We'll do a full breakdown of Patient, which I think is especially fun for people going in to do their first feature. And you can learn all the lessons from when we did it. And also we can talk about how the industry has changed completely since we did that film. What else do we have in store for everyone?
Well, we have a few shorts on deck. We have one about to enter the festival round, so hopefully we can talk about Jason's new short Tapestry soon, and kind of maybe a good opportunity to talk about the festival strategies and routes with that one, since it's already kind of shot and edited. But we have a few other shorts we want to film this year, so hopefully we'll take you all on the journey behind the scenes and just show you our process of how to get a short made. Talk about writing and collaborating as a writer, working with Kyle as a producer, building a team that's going to work for that project. Outside of that, Jason, I don't know, a lot of interviews. Who are you going to hopefully talk to?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like, obviously, like with the, going to different film festivals, which we can say all over the world. That sounds very,
Sounds weird.
but we've met a lot of great people, people that we've either, had the chance to work with in some way or want to get to work with. Even just meeting people like the composers I've been working with, like we met online, like they saw a film we did on Dust, the sci-fi YouTube channel.
And we still haven't met them in person. I think
I've never met them in person. We just collabed, and they're awesome. And it's just like, so it's just, we've been sort of able to grow this network over the last however many years. I guess it's been about a decade now. Along the way, having met people, learned a lot of things, and definitely want to like get a lot of those people on to get their insight, because there's certainly only so much you can learn from us. If you can learn anything at all, the best we can hope for is that you'll giggle at a stupid attempt at a joke here and there.
I would like to use this as an opportunity to learn as well. Like, there's only so much, like you said, that we can offer that the way that we've done it, but to have other filmmakers and festival directors come on here to kind of talk about how they make a film or what they're looking for in a film when they're programming a festival would be really great.
Yes. Well, it's like never stop learning, right? And I think that's obviously something that we've taken to heart, and it's become like a joy to sort of meet people and learn new things. And so I think if anything, that would be like the biggest goal of this podcast.
I think that's the goal of podcasts, is to learn, is to continue to expand and to learn and to talk about this. I mean, I very much enjoy talking about filmmaking and to use a stupid phrase, the art of making the films.
What a stupid phrase.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what a great phrase.
Jason, why don't you take us out with your motivational thought of the week?
Can we make this a thing?
Yes, absolutely. I do this in my team meetings all the time, and I pick someone who's not paying attention usually, and they hate it.
Which was me this entire
No,
podcast.
no. That criteria wasn't
I read
here
between
for
the
this.
lines. Motivational thought of the week. Well, I think we've already said it in more ways than one, but I think it's just keeping an open mind with the idea of creating anything. I think that a lot of us put a lot of pressure on making the perfect thing that's going to do something or anything. And I think the main thing I think all of us have learned in getting back into, filmmaking post features is just to go out there and make stuff and enjoy the process, and good things will come. And if they don't come right away, like if you keep doing it, like you're going to get better. I mean, that's just, I feel like that's just the basic idea of repetition and improving your skills. So if you really like doing it, keep doing it. You'll not hear. I was going.
Should have just stopped there.
Just stopped it there. Okay, well, thank you for joining us in this first episode of, what are we going to call this? Deep
Dark Well.
Like a well of knowledge.
Is knowledge in a well traditionally? Seems like an inaccessible place to
Just a lot of wet
There's a
knowledge,
bucket.
man.
to put it. A bucket.
With a rope.
get
Isn't it like a
bucket of wet
wealth
knowledge.
of knowledge, not a well of knowledge?
Wait, really?
I think it might be.
Yeah.
Hang on.
have
Let's
to
Google
Google
this
that.
really quick. I've heard wealth of knowledge as well, but I thought you could have a well of knowledge.
I mean, in your small town in Illinois, they may have stored the knowledge in wells.
You'll just have to take my word on this Google search that says everything Jason said was accurate.
Oh, excellent. Well,
Yeah.
I believe that.
So it says on the webpage. I'd show
Yes.
you, but the camera's, That's our You get a bucket of wet knowledge every week.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah. Stay moist, everyone.
we'll see you all next time.